Do you believe that sometimes the professional Zerg players come together and they try to spread some Zerg propaganda? Like how they convince Protoss players the mothership is good, they convince Terran players that mech is very good on Blackburn. I've casted 4 ZVTs with guys like Maru even playing mech, Time playing mech, and they didn't even get close to winning. So I want to see it, because all the information I have comes out of the Zerg camp.
What?
And I haven't seen mech deliver once.
It's a 2 racks on one base, but not proxied. Okay. Alright. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's gonna have the ability to go into mech. He's clearly trying to use Blackburn's little Reaper hop-ups. They have a slow zone, but they are still an entry into the main that creep does not touch, so you can get in there and kind of roam around. But yeah, it's just because the previous game's not starting off so well, already, purposefully hitting your economy, going into also a 2-1-1 on 2 base, so the oldest version, the one that was happening in 2016. It's also just not like there's a reason that people stopped doing it. So I'm really trying not to be super pessimistic, but based off the last few games, it's hard not to be, especially as he loses a Reaper here. But I guess let's focus on what's going to be upcoming, which will be a double drop, and see how Reynor handles that.
Yeah, I would like to see Reynor actually start producing these roaches right about now, because he is very far ahead economically, like even more than Zerg players normally are in this phase in the game. There's an 18 worker advantage on the side of the Italian. And of course, this is not one of those triple orbital scenarios. We are still just working off 2 command centers on the side of Cure. So it's not just that we hope these Marines do well. They better do well, Zombie Grub. Otherwise, we could be looking at one of the shortest best of 7s we have seen in a long time. Reynor is still droning up, dropping the double Evo chamber now. The roach count is actually at 9. 9 roaches, 5 queens. If they are in the right position, that should be good enough.
This should be perfect. Like, this is the 2-on-1, even if there is a couple extra Reapers into it, it's so figured out that whether you're going roaches or lings, you don't even need banlings here, the Zergs aren't supposed to take damage. So the only thing that could have gone wrong is that Reynor was super overconfident and only made like 3 roaches. He did not. So now he gets to have his 60 drone economy, which if he wanted to just continue building army from here, that actually might be okay. He's going to grab a 4th, however, and probably add on a few more. That's a decent drop. It's going to get the cancel. A very, very short delay, though. That was a pretty new hatchery.
Is Cure just all-inning, or what is happening?
Yeah, he's 2-basing as the follow-up. So funnily enough, I actually mentioned this last game. This is a follow-up to the 2-1-1 that kind of was doing off the back of the 4 racks. But it's also something that can be really predictable. And honestly, I think it got to a point where even if it wasn't scouted, if it was scouted very late, I felt like Zerg players were doing fine against it. So even though a 3rd CC is coming down, kind of, it's not great. This is all types of things that are supposed to do damage. They're not doing damage. The fact that you can say, oh, well, I have 3 CC is just, it's not a huge point in your favor.
I mean, Kira is now going for some triple prong by the looks of it. Couple of Reapers in the main base, shot down. Then we have that army on the top side of the map, also shot down. And he has a couple of Marines in the center where he's gonna try to, maybe stim forward. But even Scans hurt right now, don't they? Because he's still on 2 orbitals for such a long time. And to even make this remotely close economically, he really needs to be dropping mules. If you can take a look at the income advantage over the last 4 or 5 minutes, this is extreme. For a 7-minute game, this is honestly an extreme graphic here in a ZVT.
Reynor probably just going to try and max out, hit that 1-1 timing, and that's going to be as Kira needs to get his 3rd CC. So while Kira could be like, okay, I'm not even going to try, I'm just going to turtle on 2 bases, that's still a position where he's contained on increasingly lower numbers of mineral fields. And that's something that Reynor is going to... It means that he has the choices. He's also deflecting these drops on the gold very, very well. Here's the setup for the max out. A little bit of supply block, actually, but the point still stands. He has quite a powerful army, double the army supply. And sometimes that can be deceiving, but I actually don't know if Kira has enough.
And this is like the very first moment that Kira actually moves to the low ground. He's got 4 tanks there by the looks of it. The 5th one is on the way. I just feel Reynor has an overwhelming amount of units. The 1-1 upgrades, like you said, Zombie Grub, they are done. Cure knows it's coming, but I think Reynor is going to come in from the top, from the right, and from the south side, all at the same time. And well, this is going to have to be some phenomenal Marine micro, and tank fire is going to be really important. I don't think Cure can hold, but let's see if he can pull off the miracle.
The bunkers aren't even done. Corrosive Bile so far missing as Cure actually stims into the army, go into the jaws of the shark and try and get something done, which he actually does. He actually blitzes through on top of the Ravagers, takes them out. Queens awkwardly late to the party, also get destroyed. And just in 10 seconds, suddenly Cure, he's got so much hope in this game.
That was like the best trade he could have ever wished for. Obviously 5 tanks sieged up, that looks good. The bunkers soaking up a couple shots too. Reynor perhaps not having the exact engagement that he was hoping for. The Ravagers not really getting in range of the tanks. My goodness, I don't think Cure could have done that any better. I was like, I'm not even sure if he can hold. And he's like, hold, I'm actually gonna get myself in a playable position again and completely destroy that army of Reynor. Well done by Cure. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess Reynor actually, maybe that is the overconfidence. Maybe if he had taken a second and realized, can I actually jump on top of 5 tanks? Maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't have done it. But, you know, you don't quite know where all the tanks are sieged up. You don't know how many, and it's actually a very even game now. This is exactly the type of moment that Kieran needs to get back into the game, to get back into the momentum, get back into the series. I mean, it's still looking like Reynor is going to have the faster upgrades and working on some tunneling claws as well. But Cure, I mean, if he can get his upgrades going as well, I really believe.
Yep, no, I'm with you. Especially because eventually there's only so much Roaches and Ravagers can do. And maybe on creep they'll get better fights and maybe Reynor can get a better surround next time. But yeah, the previous army advantage was about as big as Reynor is going to get it in this game. Zombie Grub. 2-2 upgrades. Does it count if it's missiles?
I mean, I guess yeah, it still counts. The corrosive bios usually are what's trying to at least force some crowd control when it comes to facing bio. They have to dodge, they have to split. And now, of course, that was another loss of Reynor's push, that he lost all of his Ravagers. It was a very good hold from Cure, very good. And so Reynor now has to play the anti-drop game, which is, of course, very much more difficult. Playing Roaches, I don't think he anticipated getting blown apart so badly, so his transition into perhaps Hive and perhaps Lurkers is really not quick.
We do have Roaches with Tunneling Claws already getting past the Terran army, but they are in range of a missile turret. So these Roaches are going to get revealed, and Curious is going to get more and more free pickoffs. Cure has already killed 67 Roaches in this game and 8 Ravagers, and has only lost a single siege tank. Reynor may be maxed out, but how on earth is he supposed to get a good fight against this army that's like 3 times as big as it was previous, while Reynor's army didn't really get better than it was the previous time?
No, not really. The upgrades, they're not that powerful. We're going to have ourselves a little bit of a base trade. 1/3 CC has to lift, 1 gold base hatchery has to die. But Cure even has like a decent number of units defending the natural. He's got a tank, he's got a lot of marauders, so Reynor is going to have to commit far more to the attack. His defense doesn't look so promising either. His Ravager is not plentiful and a bit late as well, trying to rain down corrosive biles and do make some connections, but it simply doesn't matter. Cure, he is not afraid of anything. He just pushes through unsieged.
Reynor is gonna max out one more time though. Now the units that were on the left side are gonna make a return too. Can these corrosive balls connect? Seems like the answer is no. Reynor needs to clean up this army now. He's gonna get Roaches coming from the top side too. And if these Roaches can get on top of the tanks, obviously the rest of the army of Reynor should be able to do a little bit better on creep. But it's still gonna be a very difficult fight for Reynor.
Yep, that is, I mean, that's still a pretty, it's a choke. The tunneling claws are going to interrupt things as the drones are pulled as well. Cure is going to get sandwiched, but does he have the firepower, or simply, I mean, he can just evacuate actually. His tanks might die, but he can get the heck out of there, load up in the medevacs, get out of dodge, and actually, oh, his reinforcements. This is a little bit awkward. Reynor maybe can pounce before the medevacs are fully unloaded. Nope, not quite. And I think Cure can still take an okay fight. Again, if not, just run away.
Yeah, a lot of units are low on HP, and obviously Reynor does still have that upgrade advantage. I mean, Cure did manage to take out the gold base during all of this, took out the base in the top right side. gonna throw down a scan so he can land his orbital command again. We do have a couple of roaches that sneaked all the way into the main base, and this is the kind of stuff that Reynor is looking for. He wants to create some chaos so he can hopefully pull a lot of army units out of position, and then maybe his main army is powerful enough to pounce on the army of Cure, as Cure only has 2 siege tanks at this point, and is not moving the army to front, loses a couple of medevacs to Corrosive, loses one of the tanks to, loses more Marauders to Corrosive. Reynor, if it's ever gonna work, this is definitely one hell of a way to get things going.
Yeah, Kira might have wanted to evacuate a bit sooner, and then I guess really consider, hey, I don't have any tanks. But it looks like he is going to hold. I think, you know, in another game, if the tanks died, but his 2-2 was also finishing up, then I'm still really, like, you know, his army is actually quite good. But, yeah, the fact that Reynor finished his 2-2 faster, which, by the way, makes TLO true, congratulations, only took you 5 days, means that Kira still has a chance to actually lose against the Roach army. But I think it would be wiser of Reynor to look towards the Lurkers.
I just want Dario to know that I believed in you in this one, Dario. I had through as well.
It will mean that if he makes a mistake, he won't have some safe place to fall back to, but he's hoping not to make the mistake. Tanks will be pre-splits. Upgrades will be on his bio with plenty of Marauders. This is one of the slowest, most awkwardest fights that we're going to see. The slow zone just is like that, but I think Reynor, he's really got to respect this, and yeah, I think has to give up the space.
Yep, there are 6 lurkers on the way, but these are lurkers without their feisty upgrades. They don't have adaptive talents, they don't have seismic spines. So, I mean, obviously if Q doesn't respect them, they're still going to be great. Reynor can't make too many plays with it. The tank's still kind of on siege here. I feel like Reynor could have maybe abducted a tank or 2. This is about as easy as it gets, but maybe he just wants to wait. I feel like those tanks were there for the taking.
Missed opportunity. Lurkers still going to draw a line in the sand for now and getting closer to the range upgrade, but there's not that many. And Kier, I mean, he's actually going to go for the Blinding Clouds, which works very, very well. Crucifle's also taken down some of those tanks, but the bio with the 2-2 done is going to try and come through here. Gets the Concave on top of the Lurkers. Not much more than the Vipers can do. Another Blinding Cloud, however, and the Lurker spines are starting to rip through the Terran army. Cure, he overcommits and doesn't actually break the line, at least not yet, but he's still looking to do so. The drones were actually pulled away, anticipating the necessity to block for the Lurkers, realizing, wait a second, maybe we can just hold as is. This got damn close, but Reynor is about to finish his 3-3. He's got more roaches on the way. His Lurkers still here with the range upgrade. He's gonna go for the break, a Blinding Cloud or a couple of abducts either way, and Reynor will make the hold.
That's such a sick hold by Reynor. Incredibly well done with the Vipers. The Blinding Clouds were absolutely perfect. Has to be careful that he doesn't lose too many roaches here at the end of all of this. Cure does have 4 orbitals, so hopefully he can gather enough resources and get an army out that's a little bit bigger than the army that he's currently working on. Another Lurker getting a few more shots off, and Cure just had enough of all of this. GG.